What is going on, YouTube? I am Prepper Princess, the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you are interested in purchasing my book, I will go ahead and leave a link down in the description box below. As you all know, I have lived below the poverty line my entire adult life, up until recently, and the only reason for that is because I am now buying medical insurance out of pocket in the state of California that is over $500 a month. If I got rid of that, yes, I would still be living below the poverty line. However, my personality, I think everybody likes to challenge themselves. And I've challenged myself in so many different ways of weight loss and accomplishments in my personal life, doing marathons, AIDS life cycle, raising money for charity, doing just a whole bunch. And it's not just like that. It's like anything I do, I will set my mind to it and accomplish it. And it gets to a point where you're like, okay, well, I accomplished that and that and that and that. And so your goals get higher and higher and higher and higher. And, when it comes to saving money, living on almost nothing, how much lower can I go? And then your mind automatically wanders to the Great Depression and how on earth did people make it during the Great Depression? And there is so much to the Great Depression. I mean, it lasted 10 years. There were all these different things that happened that were horrible. Of course, the stock market crashed. If you had $1 million, you now only have $100,000 because it crashed down 90%. But the stock market wasn't the only problem. There were no laws in place. So when banks shut down, then the people who had their money in the bank, their checking account, their savings account, their money was just gone. And there was nothing they could do about it. There were no implications. There was no FDIC insurance, nothing. And then when you go into the job market, if you had a job making $20 an hour, so let's say that is your normal job. Not only were 1 out of 3 people unemployed, that's 1/3 of the population. There were no minimum wage laws. So if you're making $20 an hour, your boss can come and say to you, okay, you're making $6 an hour now. And then if someone else came into say you're working at a grocery store, some man comes in and says, oh, you make $6 an hour, and goes to the boss and says, I'll do it for $4. And then they'll fire you and hire that person for $4 an hour. So it was a scary, scary time. People did, in fact, starve to death. There were no food banks like we have now. They had soup lines, and they would make a big vat of soup. Maybe you'd get some bread. And when you ran out, that's it. There's nothing left. Sorry, can't help you. You're not going to eat today. And you would have to wait in line, maybe sometimes all day, for the chance to get a bowl of soup. We had the Dust Bowl, so food reserves were gone. Food was scarce. It was a big deal. And in challenging myself, I often wonder, okay, how would I do this? How would I live if there were another Great Depression? What would I do? So first and foremost, I have kind of set myself up so that it's impossible for me to lose it. There's no logical way that it could happen. I have a rental property. So you have to remember that 2 out of 3 people were still employed during the Great Depression. So people say they're not going to pay their rent. Yes, the rent would probably be lowered, but there's still a 66.6% chance that they are going to pay their rent, even though it's going to be lowered. My dividends on my investments are going to be down to 10% of what they are now. So that's $200 per month. Right now I'm hovering around $2,000 just in dividends on certain investments. The other stuff I don't touch. And then, and then I've got YouTube and some other stuff. So let's assume that I don't have those things. Let's just assume that, I have lost everything in the stock market. I have lost everything in my checking account, and I have lost all possibility of making any money on YouTube, which, by the way, during a Great Depression, this is a money-saving channel. I would imagine if there were a Great Depression and 1/3 of the population were at home, not able to work, they would be watching YouTube trying to find ways to save money. So my channel would, even though the ad revenue would be down because companies wouldn't be paying as much, my views would be up, so it would balance out. Anyway, Let's just assume I don't have that. Okay. We're assuming a lot here. We're assuming that, I have nothing and, no assets, stuff like that. So what would I literally do? Like really in a Great Depression? For starters, I'd spend the first week freaking out. I would do that. Okay. We're all going to do that. I'd spend the first week freaking out, stressing out, high anxiety. And then the second week, I'd probably implement a plan. Let's assume I know it's going to last 10 years. What am I going to do? For starters, I'm getting rid of all of my bills. Everything. And this includes what people assume is a necessity of life. I'm talking like electricity, water, car, gas, and electric. Like, it's gone. I'm not paying for sewer and water and garbage. It's gone because I have nothing. I can't pay for it. So life would change big time. Garbage, I would have to burn it in my burn barrel outside. And then water, sewer, I would have to haul my own water and most likely I have a system in my shed that's like set up so that I would have a toilet. So and a shower. I've got a camp shower, just a little battery operated camp shower. So there's my bathroom. It's moving into the shed. I'm going to have to dig my own stuff to put my composted manure in and all this. Internet gone, electricity gone. There's nothing. I have nothing. Nothing. Now I am in a really good position compared to other people who are in the same position. Okay. Let's start with a few things. First, I'm going to take stock of what I have. What do I have? That means, what do I have in my food pantry? What do I have in my fridge and freezer? What do I have in terms of dog food, medications, vitamins, soap, seeds, garden seeds? What fruit trees do I have growing? When do they come in season? And then that's going to be number one, because I'm not going to be able to spend any money. I'm not going to be able to buy a new pair of pants when I need a new pair of pants. I'm going to have to use, I'm going to have to tear up this pillow and use this as a patch on my pants. Like, I don't have any options here. That's what it is. It is what it is. And for the next 10 years, this is our life. And you got to picture this, okay? You're not going to be paying for medical insurance or home insurance. You don't have the money. It's not going to happen. So I'm going to take stock of what I have that is going to benefit me. Now, I'm going to take stock of things that will benefit others. Hear me out. So, as an entrepreneur, you think, what sort of value can I add to the marketplace? Same thing in a Great Depression. What sort of value can I add to others? Okay, so there's some skills that I'm good at that I don't know how valuable they would be in a Great Depression, but there's a few. And you have to remember that everybody else around you is in the same position. They can't spend any money. So you are probably working odd jobs, handyman jobs for food. Okay. Let me start somewhere else. For starters, this house has solar on it. It is on-grid solar. It is not off-grid. It is on-grid solar. It's getting shut off. Like at the breaker, everything's off. The water heater, the refrigerator, everything. However, I'm in a very lucky position where I have 15 solar generators and over like 1,200 watts or something like that of solar panels. So that's getting shut off at the breaker because the way that it works is that they pay you for excess energy that you send to them. So boom, done. Okay, it's off on my breaker. Everything that my thing produces, which is 9,500 kilowatt hours per year. Let me pull up the calculator. And it is 42 cents per kilowatt hour on average. So I'm already making $3,990 a year off of that because I'm not using any. Because I'm not using any electricity. So they're going to be sending, and you have a choice. You can put it on a future bill or you can have them send you a check. I don't know what I would do. I would probably have to have them send me a check. But there's that. And that would take, they only do it once a year. So I would get paid that money September 28th. And then moving on to food and making money if anybody has it. So in addition to the solar generators, everything I have is electric. I've got an electric lawnmower, electric weed trimmer, wet hedge trimmer. So I would likely be going house to house because other people, they're in the same position. They don't have their electricity on. They don't have gas that they can put in their lawnmower because they don't have any money. So their grass is getting overgrown. So I'm going to go to them and I'm going to say, okay, I've got, no, you don't have to pay for gas. You don't have to do anything. I'll trade you for a sandwich. I don't know. And then I'll eat that sandwich and then I'll save the other half for the dogs. It is a matter of absolute survival at this point. Not a lot of luxuries. I would also be collecting wood. I do this anyway, collecting cans for recycling to make extra money. I'd be collecting wood because my gas and electric are turned off. So I might be able to cook on a burner, my electric to burner off of a generator. But it's going to suck up a lot of juice, and there might be times in the wintertime where I would have to do something else, and I have also something where I can cook on with wood. So I'd be collecting wood, I'd be collecting bottles and cans. Fortunately, let's go to skill sets for a second. So I have a couple of skills that I guess they added something to the marketplace, but I don't know how many people would be able to do. So the lawn, I mow a lawn like nobody else. I am awesome at mowing lawns. I don't miss a single strand of grass. But so there's the lawn mowing service. I'm also really good at building things out of scrap materials. So a lot of people have just scraps on the side of their house. I can build benches, tables, chairs, dog houses, sheds, like garden beds, raised planters, stuff like that. Just out of that. So, if they'll give me a sandwich and I build them a dog house, cool. We both win. And I'm also really good at repairing and building fences and gates. I'm good at that. And I can also do small electrical. So I can update electrical, but if nobody has their electricity turned on, I don't really see how I would be able to do anything with that. But I'm really good at upgrading and installing light fixtures and ceiling fans, and updating plugs, but not like crazy stuff on the breaker. I don't know how to do that yet. And this would also be a time where I would be checking on my neighbors. So people who are disabled or have health conditions, I would be there. So then I have a couple of things that set me apart from the rest. For starters, I've got the solar generators, as I've stated, plus plenty of solar. So I would likely be talking to my neighbors, and some of my neighbors have huge gardens, huge, like takes up their whole yards, and good for them. I'm not there yet. I have so much more work I have to do on this house before I can get there. But a lot of established people here, and they all have so much food growing in their yards. So anyway, so I've got all this solar. And the only thing that I would be powering would be the refrigerator and the TV, because I no longer have a modem. And because I don't have internet, I'm no longer able to stream. So the only thing I'm doing is renting DVDs from the library and putting it on in the background, or using my tiny little amount that I have saved of my favorite movies. So that's what I've got going on my TV. But if I have extra power, I can make deals with my neighbors and just run extension cords to the solar generators. And in exchange, they can give me some of their garden, their produce. And I am sure if they can't afford electricity, but they've got an abundance of produce, I am sure that they would be more than happy to trade with me. And of course, I would have them pay up front. Now, we're not talking about SHTF Wild West here. We're talking about there is still civilization. So for those of you who are, and I'm only saying this because I know you're going to come in here and it's like stating the obvious, Captain Obvious. Well, what if they steal your generators? Well, come on. Okay. It would be in a fully fenced yard with the cords running underneath. It would be in a lockbox, and I have 2 dogs that bark at the moon and in any time a leaf blows. So I'm going to be alerted if somebody's trying to break in and steal it. Or them, depending on how many generators there are and how many electrical cords people have. But I think that instead of doing you want to get the most return for the least amount of work when you're in any type of situation. In regular life, you want to get the most return for the least amount of work. And to me, with all of these solar generators that I've got, I I think that that is a huge asset, and it would essentially turn into my job. I mean, I'm making $3,300 or whatever it was per year off the solar off the top of my house because the energy company is forced to pay me by law regular rates for any excess that I produce. So I've got that. And then I've got my extra solar, which I can use, but it's more than I need. So I would be sharing with other people in exchange for goods or services. So maybe I need a new pair of socks, or, I need a sack of potatoes. I don't know. But if you think about it in today's dollars, if you're giving somebody free electricity to run their TV and their refrigerator for an entire week, and, they bring me a 5-pound bag of potatoes that'll feed me all week, $5 for a week's worth of electricity is a really good deal. Maybe I'll tell them I need carrots or something. I don't know. So when it comes to food, we are assuming that there is a dust bowl. Food supplies are low. There's a huge food shortage. And I simply don't have money to pay for food. Okay, so of course what I'm going to do is check stock of what I have, and my diet's going to change immediately. So I eat 1 meal per day. Those rations are going to be shortened. It might be 1 meal every other day. Now you say I couldn't do that if you are in survival mode. Yes, you can, and you will, or you will starve to death. So please use common sense in the comments section, because I know that people are going to get on me about this. The only thing that I will not do without is my coffee. So I would be working like a dog for coffee. I would take coffee over food any day of the week, and it adds calories. I will trade food for coffee. That's all there is to it. Now, when I was in Arizona, there is a mesquite plant there is mesquite coffee. I mean, you can look it up on Amazon, mesquite coffee. It is a mesquite tree creates these pods, and these pods grow ripe. You take them, you can put them in like a coffee grinder, and it turns into a powder, and then you use it just like coffee, and it tastes just like coffee, and it has even added benefits. It's got the caffeine, but it also has protein in it, so you feel fuller from it. And which I think is really great. So if I were in Arizona, that's how I'd be surviving, mesquite. And there were also other foods that I was experimenting with, and I was actually very successful with a lot of them. So yes, I would have been able to make it in Arizona, except for the weather. I don't think I would have made it through the weather, because it's too hot for survival there. For my dogs anyway. I would survive, but it would suck. So food. It's going to be if I'm eating meat, it's going to be hot dogs, and that's about it. There's not going to be money for steak or chicken, except on like Thanksgiving, on those rare occasions when I can maybe afford a $6 chicken, but it is literally going to be mostly rice and beans, soup, lots of soup, potato soup, because potatoes are cheap, potato and onion soup, anything I can grow in my garden. Right now I grow all my leafy greens and tomato, zucchini, and then I've got the fruit trees. The garden would expand, so I'd be growing, but you have to remember, I have the water shut off, so I have to haul water. Now, here's another thing that sets me apart that's really great. I have a lot of e-bikes. I'm not going to be able to afford to put gas in my car, but maybe once a year when I get that $3,000 check. It's like, okay, fill up the gas tank and make it last a year. But, and I have to pay my, the property taxes, or I'll lose my home. But I'm debt free, so it would be a challenge, but I would be a lot better off than most people. So the e-bikes, and I have a trailer. So the trailer holds 80 pounds. A gallon of water weighs 7 pounds. So I'd be able to carry about 10 or 11 gallons of water in the trailer. And then a gallon on the front basket. So we're looking at 12 gallons per trip, and it's 5 miles each way. And my e-bikes would be charged through my solar, and it would not be a lot of effort or time because they're super fast. But it would be not a lot of effort or time compared to most people who would have to put a bucket and carry it and walk all the way home 5 miles. That would be bad. But I would be in a really good position there too. And of course, there's also that because I'm 5 miles away from a water source. If other people in my neighborhood can't afford water, I would boil it, of course, to make it safe to drink and use. And I would be trading with my neighbors water. Not everybody has the ability to do that. I would also be trading use of my electric e-bikes. So I think that I could make a living. It wouldn't be a luxurious living, but I would be able to get by just on my solar generators and my e-bikes, using those as a service to others. And hopefully, I hope it never happens, but if it did happen, I would be in a type of position where I could trade the use of my assets, not my assets, but the use of the borrowing of my assets, which are my generators and my e-bikes, using the power, using the e-bikes in exchange for food. So I would be, or coffee, I would be set up like, okay, you want to haul water all week. You're going to have to give me whatever coffee you've got, or buy me $5 worth of coffee and creamer, and we'll call it a day. But I think that the electricity is likely the biggest asset. So that's something that you guys would have to do too. And remember, and I'm aware that not everybody has all of the amazing, awesome technology stuff that I have. But maybe you have something else that is not similar, but an item that you can lend to people, not give it away, not sell it, but lend to people that has value. That has value. To me, it works like dividend stock. So you buy a dividend stock, they pay you a percentage. So that's kind of how it is. Okay, I'm lending you this item and you're going to pay me for borrowing it with whatever it is that I need. And that's what I would do in a Great Depression. And that would be, of course, in the height of the first year, I'm going to have garbage. I'm going to have gas and electric. I'm going to buy food. I'll have water and sewer and internet. And, then as time goes on and I have less and less money, then it just becomes more and more extreme. And this is like a game that I play in my head. Like, what is the worst case scenario? But, let's be realistic. I've set myself up so that none of these things are ever going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I mean, I've got the rental property, and I'm making 33. If I turn off I've got the rental property. Let's assume that the income that I'm making from that gets cut in half. So I'm making, let's go less than half. Let's say I'm making $600 a month off of my rental property, which right now rents for $1,500 a month. Let's go all the way down to $600 a month, which is like nothing. And then you've got the $3,300 that I would be earning from electricity. And that's $275 a month. And those are my only sources of income. That's all I've got. That's still $875 a month. With $875 a month, I could still keep my internet, water, sewer. I could still pay for food, property taxes. I would still have to lose a lot of things. I wouldn't be able to drive the car as much. I would only be, I don't even know if I'd pay for insurance. I'd definitely pay for registration, and then I would drive and I would hardly ever drive the car, but I would drive extremely defensively and never speed, ever, ever, ever. And if police don't have the right to ask for proof of insurance unless they pull you over. And the only reason they can pull you over is if you're breaking a law. So I would just not break any laws. And if you're not breaking any laws, you're not going to run into anybody. And that's what I would do. And I know people in the comments section, you guys are crazy. You can't drive without insurance. We're talking about survival mode here. We're not talking about now. Of course I have insurance. But if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. And if you got to get somewhere that's 150 miles away, you got to drive there. That's illegal. Yes, but is it morally, like, it's illegal by law, but is it like a moral issue that you have? Like, my morals go out the window. Like those types of morals. I'm not talking about being kind to one another, but I don't care if I have insurance. If there's a Great Depression, come on. Come on. All right, folks, let me know what you would do. Like, how would you, if you got rid of all of your utility bills, how would you survive? Like you have, let's assume that you're debt free, which you're probably not if you're watching this channel, because 80% of people have debt. So 20% of you watching have no debt. So let's assume you have no debt and you own your home. Rent out a room. Would you rent out a room? I would rent out a room probably. But they would have to have their own separate entrance because my dogs. People are so stupid with dogs. Hey, don't let the dog out. Okay. Oh, the dog got out. Like, stuff like that. But that would be so hell on earth for me, because you have to remember nobody's got any money, so they're hardly going to pay you anything to be living in your house. So a room that would rent for $500 is now only going to rent for $200, But if I rent a room, if I've got my rental property and then I make money off of solar, I'm still making $1,075 a month. And that's on the lowest possible scenario. Like, low rent for a roommate, low rent for the rental property, and then the solar. I would actually still be okay. I would rather live without the roommate, though. All right, folks, let me know, like, do you guys go over this stuff in your head? Everybody goes through the two most extremes. What if I won the lottery? What if we had another Great Depression and I had nothing? Like, we both go to both extremes. I know you guys do it. So let me know what you would do if, like, what skills do you have that change things, like that change the game, or assets do you have that change the game? For me, it's simply the solar, the e-bikes, and I'm an amazing forager too. My skill sets are like very minimal when it comes to practical applications. I've worked in offices my whole life. An office is not going to help me in a Great Depression. But I'm also really great at foraging. And we live in an area that has so much food foraging. And I'm really good at fishing, too. I haven't fished in years, but I'm good at it when I do it. All right, folks. Do what you can with what you've got. This is a long one. I'm sorry. Prepper Princess out.